Have they sacked Martin yet? No?
Every night is the Rangers Journal night.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this. You are watching the Rangers Journal. My name is Doug, and this is the Lowdown, your guide to our upcoming opponents in Rangers season, which is, I was going to say there a battle of ups and downs, but there really have been very few ups thus far. Russell Martin still under intense pressure, and that pressure could increase to just in unbelievable levels depending on the result of this game. Obviously, we go into this game with very mixed form at the moment. You can see there 3 losses, 1 draw, and only that 1 win versus Alloa in our last 5. In comparison to our friends across the way who have 3 wins out of 5. Their 2 draws coming in their own Champions League fumbles as they drop down into the Europa League with ourselves after being put out on penalties to Kairat Almaty. In the league, though, it's been a different story. Celtic have also not been their own fluid self. However, they have got 3 wins out of 3 and sitting at the top of the table with a maximum of 9 points compared to our 3 draws and 3 points. Say they probably come in favourites for this game, despite it being at Ibrox. And you've got to worry, I think, for the teams in terms of the way our form is on a downward slope, and whether we have the ability to turn it on in this game the way I worry and suspect that they might be able to. But in terms of wondering what to expect, I think it's much the same, really, from Celtic, still under Rodgers, of course, tending to play the 4-3-3 system. They're a high pressing, high energy team, fluid attacking with overloads in their wide areas. They'll invert their fullbacks, which allows the midfield to push up, joining their striker, allowing their wingers to stay wide. They get a lot of play from their wingers and balls down those sides, creating overloads. And could end up in a kind of a 2-3-2-3 setup and attack, with plenty of passing triangles, ability to move the ball quickly, and get in and around teams. McGregor's still a key part of their team. If you can keep him quiet, you will blunt the team slightly. We have managed to do that to reasonable success in the last few games. Although the person that was primarily taking up that marking role has been Bajrami, who has obviously not been really anywhere near the team, and seems like he's probably going to be on his way out of the club. In terms of notable new signings, Celtic have signed Shin Yamada, 25-year-old Japanese striker. It was a particularly disappointing one. That was one that we at the Journal, he is a player that we'd highlighted as someone we'd be interested in signing. So it was a bit sad to see him going across the way. They brought Kieran Tierney back to the club, and they've signed 2 new wingers, the most notable of which has been Benjamin Nygren, who has been playing well for them at the beginning of the season. Dragged them out of a few games where they looked like they might not get the result, chipping in with both goals and at least 1 assist. So a player to look out for, and indeed he is one of the 2 danger men I'm highlighting today. Obviously, there's a lot of players that we're aware of, Maeda, McGregor, Hatate, but the 2 new players, I think, are players that are going to be successful with Celtic. Nygren, as I say, has started well, and Yara also, I'd say, quite a potent striker. Didn't have the greatest season last season, although he did score over 20 goals the year before. He's just an out-and-out striker, gets plenty of attempts, and as I say, does usually have a really fair amount of goals. In terms of Nygren, again, he's a very adaptive player, primarily right winger, but can play right across the attacking areas, including up front, and as a more central midfielder. Really good, high average rating there, 7.5%, 7.5, sorry, for the year last year. 16 goals and 2 assists in his previous season across a 30-game season. Previous player at Northland, so he's familiar to Ant-Man, and I think he crossed paths with Diamond Lynn, but I'm not 100% sure. But I do know he did play there with Ant-Man. So yeah, as I say, he will be, I think, one to watch, as he has been a bit of a player for them so far. So what about ourselves? In terms of our own lineup, I've really not deviated much from what I said going into the Bruges game. A couple of changes I think have to happen. You need to be bringing in Tavernier after Aaron's performance in that match, but I don't think he will. I think he'll probably play Aaron's and stick with him. He's been doing that in these big games, and so he'll probably be given the chance to bounce back from that awful showing. But as I say, I would be picking Tavernier for the calming influence he's been having and just contributing. As I say, he has come on in most games and contributed positively, got the team forward and created chances. As I say, he's our second highest goal scorer. As a result of that, he took the corner that resulted in our goal against St Mirren. So right now, Tavernier is being a point of required saviour, unfortunately, as the team have failed to sort of move on. I think for the rest of the defence, you have to just stick with what's there and hope they improve. I'm not sure bringing Fernandes into such a big game, having only played really in the Alloa game, would work. It could be a bit much for him coming into that. Midfield, I would 100% be starting Nicholas Raskin, but again, I do not think that that's what Martin's going to do. It's who I've picked. I pick him over Rothwell. He's got more bite in the midfield, more attacking ability, and I just think you'd bring more for the team, push the team on forward. But unfortunately, I think that role will probably go to Rothwell, despite the fact he's been underperforming. I brought Dio back into the team. He's played in these games before. He's usually played okay. And then Lyle Cameron, who I think has been one of the better players in midfield, brings a lot of energy and effort and drive. And so hopefully can maybe chip in with a goal as well. The wingers, I think, we'll just, again, keep the wingers the same and hope for them to just improve from previous performances. Sam, obviously, our top scorer right now. He does bulldoze his way through defences at times. We're looking for them to have a good game to try and get in behind Celtic and use their pace and their trickery. You've got players like Moore that you could bring on, but again, I wouldn't want to potentially start Moore in a game like this. He's again a young player, not having probably experienced this type of atmosphere. Plus, I think there'll be an extra sort of edge to the atmosphere given the distaste for Russell Martin right now. So Moore could come on as a sub, but again, as a starter, I'm not so sure. And up front, I said it for the Bruges game, and I'll say it for this one. I'd be giving Finlay Curtis a go up front. He's shown that he's got the ability to find the back of the net. He's fearless. He takes shots, and I think that we'll need that going into this game. He can switch and move with the other wingers, being a winger himself. He'll also recognise the type of movements that they're going to make, hopefully, and can get himself in positions. If not, and he's fit, you'd probably expect Dessers to start. But as I say, I would like to see Curtis given the opportunity. Although I have said for players like Moore and Fernandes, putting them in a big game like this may not be the best. Finlay Curtis, obviously a local lad, Rangers player, a Rangers fan. Sorry, he knows all about what Old Firms are, and so I think he goes in with a bit more. He's experienced the Old Firm atmosphere. He'll watch it growing up. I think he'll be a little bit more mentally set to take that opportunity and potentially thrive. If not, as I say, you're probably looking at Dessers going into that game if he's fit. If not, Danilo maybe goes in. Danilo's actually not had a bad time against Celtic, so maybe he goes in with that thinking in mind. But again, I just think that Curtis has earned the opportunity to get a start. terms of a game changer, I've got a feeling it's going to be Jack Butland. I've picked him at least once, maybe twice already for game changers, particularly European games, because we've been playing so poorly that we've needed him. If it wasn't for him, then the Bruges game could have gone into double figures quite easily. He made countless excellent saves in the first half and was solid in the second half to pick up the balls that were getting through to him and shots getting through to him. So I think he's a no-brainer. He's the only player that came out of the Bruges game really with total pass marks from all fans. So I think he'll be key again if, as I sadly suspect, we might be under the cosh for a lot of the game. With Celtic obviously also looking to get a positive result after their own trials and failures in the Champions League. And if that's the case, then as I say, Jack Butler's going to be a huge player to try and keep us in the game. Or indeed, if we're ourselves, if we do get ourselves into a winning position, helping to keep us there. So predictions, how do I think this game will go? As I say, I'm not especially confident, I must say. We are playing so poorly, it's hard to see the team pull out a huge performance. It's not impossible. They have done it in previous, played terrible in domestic games and then gone on and played really well in a big European match or indeed in an old firm. But I do have my worries that, even with our issues under previous regimes, I don't really feel like our defence has been as bad as it is right now. I'm not sure confidence has been as low as it is right now. The harmony within the group seems to be a big issue. So I'm going to go for the draw. That's been what we've been doing in games previous. So I've said 2-2 as a draw. As I say, I am concerned that Celtic could also run away with it if they click and they hit form for this game. Then they could run riots. But I'm going to give the team the benefit of the doubt that they will pull something out for this match for the fans, if nothing else. But I do see Celtic scoring. So I've gone for the 2-2, which would obviously be Martin's fourth draw in a row. Will continue the pressure under him. Even a win, well, he'll still be under pressure, but I mean, that will help him slightly. And I don't really want to think about how the atmosphere and the levels of toxicity will grow if indeed he loses. So fingers crossed he does the best he can. But that's the lowdown for today. As I say, hopefully the team can pull something out for this game. It's a huge game. Even bigger given all the circumstances going on. Both teams coming from disappointing Champions League results. And I think, I think both will be looking to prove something to their fans in this match. So it's a big game with a lot riding on it. Really, whoever's game clicks is going to come out on top probably. Or as I say, if both teams continue to sort of not hit their fluid bests, then that's why I've kind of gone for that draw. So we'll see what happens. But all the best luck to the Bears. Good luck to you if you're going to the game. Hopefully the atmosphere isn't too poisonous and you can still enjoy it. But we'll see how it goes. I'll join you on the next lowdown. Thank you for watching, and remember that every night is a Rangers journal night. Goodbye.